What if T-Rex was still alive today? Imagine waking up in a world where the Tyrannosaurus rex still roams the earth, towering at over 12 meters. In length, with teeth the size of bananas and a bite force strong enough to crush. Bone like a potato chip, the T-Rex was one of the most fearsome predators to ever walk the planet. But what if it had never gone extinct? What would the modern world look like, and how would its presence shape the ecosystem, human society, and other species? First, let's set the scene. The T-Rex lived about 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. It was the apex predator of its time, hunting massive herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus. But in our alternate reality, it somehow survived the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs. This means it would have had millions of years to adapt to a changing climate, evolving alongside mammals, birds, and eventually, humans. The first major impact would be on the ecosystem. As an apex predator, the T-Rex would shape the food chain dramatically. It would compete with modern predators like lions, tigers, and bears, but those animals wouldn't stand much of a chance. Against a creature weighing nearly 9 tons, in areas where T-Rex populations thrive, large herbivores, such as elephants, giraffes, or bison, could face massive hunting pressure. This would reduce their populations, which in turn could affect vegetation growth and even reshape landscapes. The presence of such a predator might keep certain herbivore species in check, preventing overgrazing, but it could also lead to extinction events if populations couldn't adapt. For smaller predators like wolves, leopards, or crocodiles, survival would mean avoiding direct confrontation with T-Rex. They might be forced into smaller ecological niches, hunting only at night or in terrain where a T-Rex's massive body couldn't easily move. Over time, this could lead to evolutionary changes, smaller predators becoming stealthier, faster and more specialized to avoid being preyed themselves. Now, let's talk about humans. Sharing the planet with a T-Rex would fundamentally change how we live. Cities would need massive protective barriers, not unlike the walls you see in science fiction movies. Rural areas might be heavily fortified. Travel between settlements would require armed escorts or specialized vehicles. Imagine a school bus that's more like an armored tank. Hunting and outdoor activities would be extremely risky, and entire regions might be declared T-Rex territories off limits to humans. Our military and technology would likely evolve in response. Instead of designing tanks and jets primarily for human warfare, a significant portion of our defense industry might focus on controlling or deterring T-Rex populations. Drones, tranquilizer cannons, and electric fences the size of skyscrapers could become part of everyday life. In places like Africa or North America, T-Rex could occupy the top of the food chain, forcing human settlements to concentrate in safer zones. Rural farming might become impossible in certain areas without constant protection. Economically, T-Rex could also become a strange kind of asset. Some countries might build massive wildlife parks to contain and showcase them for tourism. Imagine Jurassic Park. But in reality, however, this would be incredibly dangerous, and one containment failure could have catastrophic consequences. Black markets might emerge for T-Rex parts, just as illegal poaching exists today for elephants or rhinos. The ethical debates around hunting or protecting them would be heated. Should they be preserved as a natural wonder or controlled for human safety? The impact on other animals would be equally dramatic. Large herbivores like moose, elk, or wildebeest would either adapt to new survival strategies or face extinction. Bird species might evolve new behaviors, nesting in harder-to-reach places to avoid a predator that can crush trees with its weight. Even aquatic animals could be affected. If T-Rex developed habits of hunting near riverbanks or shorelines, from an ecological perspective, the T-Rex could help restore a more balanced ecosystem in certain areas. In modern nature, the absence of apex predators can lead to overpopulation of certain herbivores, which causes habitat destruction. T-Rex's hunting habits might actually preserve forests and grasslands by preventing overgrazing. But the danger is that T-Rex is not just a predator, it's a hyper-predator. It's capable of wiping out multiple species if it becomes too dominant. Culturally, living alongside T-Rex would change everything from our myths and legends to our daily habits. Movies, books, and art would be filled with stories about human bravery and survival against these colossal beasts. Children might grow up learning T-Rex safety drills just as we teach earthquake or fire drills today. Fashion might even be influenced, with people wearing protective clothing designed to withstand bites or scratches. The scientific community would be in a frenzy. Studying a living T-Rex could unlock incredible knowledge about dinosaur biology, evolution, and physiology. However, this would also raise ethical questions. How much should we interfere with such a species? Would we genetically engineer T-Rex-proof livestock? Would we attempt to domesticate them? Or is that a disaster waiting to happen? Not all effects would be negative. A living T-Rex could become a symbol of nature's raw power, reminding humanity of our place in the natural order. It could inspire greater respect for the environment and more cautious approaches to expanding into wild habitats. People might think twice before destroying forests or grasslands, knowing such destruction could force predators into closer contact with humans. In a world where T-Rex roamed, human architecture would change. Skyscrapers might have reinforced lower floors to prevent a charging T-Rex from breaking through. Bridges could be elevated higher to stop them from crossing, and roadways might be covered with protective tunnels. Even air travel could see a spike, as flying might be the safest way to move between territories where these predators live. Transportation technology might shift towards armored all-terrain vehicles for civilian use. Imagine an SUV with steel plating, reinforced windows, and noise suppression to avoid detection. Farming equipment could be designed with built-in deterrent systems, like sonic repellers or automated defense drones, to keep T-Rex away from valuable crops. Entertainment industries might capitalize on their existence, with live-stream safaris or reality shows about T-Rex tracking teams. Schools could have field trips to safe observation zones, where children can watch a T-Rex from behind layers of protective glass. This would create an entirely new branch of tourism and media dedicated to showcasing one of nature's most iconic predators. But there would also be tragic stories, encounters gone wrong, entire towns evacuated after a T-Rex sighting, and rescue teams risking their lives to save stranded travelers. News broadcasts might regularly feature T-Rex-related events, much like we see with storms or earthquakes today. In the end, the survival of T-Rex into the modern age would create a planet that is far more dangerous, but also far more inspiring. Our cities would be fortresses, our technology more advanced, our ecosystems more balanced, yet more volatile. The T-Rex would be both a nightmare and a marvel, a living relic of Earth, its prehistoric past, walking side by side with the modern world. If the Tyrannosaurus Rex were still alive today, it would not just be another animal in the food chain. It would be a force of nature, shaping our ecosystems, our societies, and even our identity as a species. We would live in a world constantly reminded that no matter how advanced we become, nature can still produce something far more powerful than us.